Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your overview of The Nice House on the Lake, the deluxe edition hardcover from DC Comics. I'm going to be talking about exactly what this story is and how it holds up with all these horror books coming out. So, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. So you have the title here, The Nice House on the Lake, and you have all these symbols, which I'll explain a little bit about when we open up the book and show off the artwork and give you the pitch of the story. You have all these mysterious characters. This is a standalone story because this is all part of the DC Black Label line. You don't need to read Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman to understand what is going on here. DC Black Label is kind of like their new Vertigo. It's outside of continuity. These characters have never appeared before, but they may appear again. The Nice House on the Lake, the deluxe edition, and the DC logo. And then the back of the book, giving you a little, and I mean a little synopsis as to what exactly is in here. The ISBN, $49.99, and then another symbol. And this won all kinds of awards. This won 4 Will Eisner Awards. Best Writer, 2022 and 23. Best New Series, 22 and 23. No, I'm sorry, Best Colorist in 2023, Jordi Belair. I forgot to mention, up here you have New York best Uncanny Omar talk pretty one day. New York best-selling author James Tynion IV, Alvaro Martinez Bueno, and Jordi Belair. And underneath the dust jacket, let's look at the flaps first. On the left-hand side, you have a bio on the characters. And on the right, you just have a quote from one of the characters. I'm not asking you anymore. I'm telling you, this is how the world is going to end. Walter. Cryptic, as the book and the story is. And then underneath the dust jacket, you get these big statues and then somebody down there in a fetal position. And again, the symbols. Not the title of the book, but the symbols on the spine of the book. Okay, and this being a deluxe edition means that it's as big as an omnibus, like so, but obviously not as thick because the price again is $49.99. Okay, we're going to crack this open, give you the pitch, not go too much into any spoilers because I want people to genuinely be surprised because I really enjoyed this book and I want others to enjoy it. And then show off the artwork and look at some of the extras because, again, some of the extras are also full of spoilers. So, we'll also talk about the build of the book. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's open the book up. You have some white end sheets right here. The Nice House on the Lake, again, with those symbols. And the deluxe edition. And here's one of those statues, which we'll be talking a little bit about, but not going too much into detail. James Tynion IV being the writer, Alvaro Martinez Bueno being the artist, Jordi Belair doing the colors, and World Design doing the lettering. And there's that image again that you found on the art on board right here. And the covers. The covers, by the way, are all at the very beginning of each chapter. They tell you the main character that you're going to be reading about. There's no issue numbers, but this only collects all the 12-issue maxi series of The Nice House on the Lake. And this was a series that premiered in 2022, and then it finished up earlier this year in 2023. All right, the pitch. This is a really interesting story. We start off with the character of Ryan talking to who knows who. The world behind her is burning, and she's talking about how she used to talk to this guy named Walter, and he would ask her, like, stare into her soul and ask her, how do you think the world is going to end? So they would get into these deep philosophical conversations about the ending of the world, how it would all end in different ways. She had theories and he had theories. And then we go back to what we think might be present or maybe in the future. It's her again with a mask and the world is burning, it's raining, and then we get an email here. This is from Walter, inviting all his friends, including her, Ryan, to a house on the lake. Hence the title, The Nice House on the Lake. And it is a beautiful home. And this is when the mystery starts deepening. So Ryan decides to go, and here's where you get a bio on all the characters. So Ryan decides to go, and you find out that she is known as the artist, hence the symbol and the title that she is given, because that's what Walter liked to do. He liked to give people almost like an avatar. He was into video games, he was into anime, um, so it makes sense for his character to do that. And he's really well off, as you'll find out. So she decides to go. She really doesn't know anybody here outside of Walter. And then we start meeting these characters one by one. This is Nora Jacobs, 34 years old, and the bio is right there as to how Nora and Walter originally met. We meet David Day here, 32-year-old Mel, the comedian. And what you find out as you're meeting these characters, the accountant, the scientist, the reporter, the acupuncturist, which actually has a little bit of a twist later on, the consultant, the doctor, and the pianist, what you find out is that these people are separated into two different groups: the people that Walter knew in high school and the people that he met in his college years. And they didn't have to go to high school with him or have to go to college with him. He was just introduced to these people throughout these different points in his life, these two very important points in his life. But Ryan doesn't really fit into all of this. She doesn't belong with the high school group. She doesn't belong with the college group. All she knows is Ryan, or I'm sorry, Walter. And as you find out, she hasn't talked to Walter in 2 years, but he really liked her enough to invite her on this week-long getaway where you're going to be living in this house. You're going to have all the food you want. You're going to have all these kind of activities to do, like go boating, go swimming, and just enjoy this vacation all together with a group of friends. So even in the nighttime here, when everybody's talking to each other, she's just sitting over here by herself. And then she notices something. She gets on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I don't even know what the hell the new social media platforms are anymore. But what she notices is that the world outside of this house on the lake, this nice house on the lake, is falling apart. There's news outlets that are reporting fire from heaven. There are people that are melting on live television, including Anderson Cooper. People are tweeting how they just watched Anderson Cooper melt to death on live television. There's people's eyes that are blowing up, their skins are blowing up. And at first she thinks it's New York, and then realizes that it's the rest of the world. The president is dead. Um, there's anarchy happening. People don't know who's at fault. They think it's an attack. And nobody else is realizing this because they're kind of disconnected from social media. They put their phones away. So she tells everybody to just shut up. We got to put the news on. Something's going on outside in the world, and we have to find out what's happening. So at first they're like, what are you talking about? She's like, New York City's gone, and it could be worse. So they do put on the news, and they get an emergency broadcast system here, telling everybody that there's been an attack made on the United States. And as they all start checking their social media and their phones, they start seeing emails, and it gets really depressing because they start seeing emails from loved ones that couldn't reach them, and it could be the reception, because a lot of them were complaining earlier in these stories, or in issue number 1, that they're getting no reception. Something's going on here. And it all goes back to the topic that Walter and Ryan were talking about. How do you think the world will end? Well, at the end of the first issue is where he turns to all of his friends, all 10 of them, and tells them that he's sorry. They can't leave because they all want to leave. They all want to go check on their loved ones, but they can't leave. That's one of the rules. And he keeps talking almost in cryptic, talking about how he and his people are at fault. And everybody's like, what do you mean your people? He keeps mentioning that we are responsible for the destruction of humanity. But please forgive me and always see me as your friend. It's almost like he's asking for forgiveness for a big part he had to do with the fall of mankind. So, this is somebody that some of these people have known since high school, and some of them have known since college, and they're like, what are you talking? And this is somebody that they confide in. Like, some of them came out to him. Some of them are in love with him. Some of them are in love with somebody else, and they always told him secrets. So for someone like this to just out of almost nowhere tell them that him and his people, and they still don't know what they mean by his people, are responsible for the destruction of humanity, a lot of them act like normal human beings and start snapping, wanting answers. So this right here is Nora, and she goes in for an attack, and this is when things get crazy because maybe Walter's telling the truth. He's not quite human. He's able to just morph around this weapon that she had, and her hand ends up blowing up from the attack. Now, of course, it doesn't blow off, it just blows up. And he's like, I know you're all hurting, but in time you'll see this was the right call. That he wanted to protect them, that he wanted them to be in heaven while the rest of the world burned. And that's where the first issue ends. So the rest of the series, I'm not going to go too much into details. It's kind of in the same format where you start off with a character in present time or the future time. This one focusing on the pianist and telling you about how they, how close of a friend was Walter to them. And then we go back to the house on the lake. There are actual transcripts being told, and you get answers later on as to why exactly there are transcripts. There are couples here together, and then some people are like, I need to go back to my husband, my kids. And slowly you start getting answers. Slowly you start seeing Walter's power and exactly what he is and what he could be. You do get plenty of answers in here, but not before you get a lot more mysteries. You start seeing more and more of what's happening in the outside world. These sculptures that you see around there, the house, one of them in particular, whenever you touch it, you can see what's happening to your home, and that's when things get crazy for some of these folks. And then some of them, of course, react like, look, we're in heaven. Everything else is falling apart. It's hell on earth. Why don't we enjoy our time here? And then they start discovering weird things about themselves. Remember when Nora attacked Walter and her hand almost blew off? Well, it immediately heals. And then the comedian finds out that every time he cuts himself, he's able to heal really fast. So the mystery starts deepening as to what exactly is this house? How much power does Walter have? And are they even able to really leave? Or is there a way to leave? Are they hallucinating that the world actually ended? Or is it really ending? What exactly is happening in this house that's keeping them safe? Is it something from another world? Is it something from another dimension? Is it a pocket universe? Are they in space on a spaceship? Are they in heaven? Did they die? This is a really interesting book, and whenever you're asking yourself questions like that, you start realizing, oh wow, damn, this is one of the best reads I've had this year. Yeah, so this every year I do my top 10 reads of the year. You might end up seeing this one. This is such a damn good read, and I don't want to say anything else because I want people to be surprised when they read it. So I will just stop there. That's, I think, enough of a pitch. Gives you the mystery and some of the characters and who you'll be following and actually the way the book is structured. So let's look at the extras, the back matter here. I talked about how the covers are right before the chapters, and in the back here is where you're going to get the variant covers by different artists. And you also get the script, you get the breakdown of the characters here, what they are. And actually, I'm going to skip a little bit of this because I don't want to spoil one of the biggest twists in here. And that is, what exactly is Walter? But also, you notice that there were 10 symbols, and each book focuses on one person. So if there's 10 people, it's 10 issues, plus Walter, that's 11 issues. Who's the 12th issue about? Well, you can find out for yourself. One of the coolest things about this is as they're exploring this house, they do start building and you start seeing other parts of the house. So you do get a map of where exactly some of these locations are. And I thought that was a nice little touch. And it actually adds to the story. Character designs and cover proposals here, and then a bio on the creators, and here's your end sheets. The book has 400 pages. It is printed in this matte paper, and I will say that there is some gutter loss, so you'll have to hold down sometimes, especially when the word bubbles are right on the gutter. You have to hold it down to kind of read the whole thing. But that's because of the way the book is bound. You can see here there's some gutter loss. One more thing, the character of Walter is one of the most complex and interesting, I guess you could call him a villain, because you feel for him. Like you really think that the guy is coming from a place of love, even though all these horrible things are happening. And I like that about the character. He's one of the most unique characters, um, as far as like a horror book. Like what started as something like horror turned into maybe sci-fi, turned into something deep and powerful that I really enjoyed. This is a really awesome read, and don't sleep on it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know near mint condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this deluxe edition. Let me know in the comments down below if you're upgrading from your single issues or trade paperbacks, or if you're going into this completely blind just because you're a big fan of Tynion, or if you just like horror books. I would love to know all those comments down below. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Check us out on Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.